Hello. We're going to have another talk about Tinykdump. It's the speaker is Qian. He's supervisor from quality engineering from Beijing, and let's hear it.
Okay, thanks for coming. I'm been the test Kdump for 7 years. So it's there's some. So I talk about just some of the real Fedora Kdump, some general introduction, and so I will give some the problem we've seen during the testing, and so what's the pain point, and we'll introduce the Tinykdumps to solve some of the problems and the design and trade-off of the current proposal and some of the implementation details and the future plan, and I'll open up quick questions. So for Kdump, it really was designed for enterprise customers, which need some of the root cause when the kernel panic happens. So there's they have some systems that could be running for like years or months, and there's some problem happens, but they don't necessarily have a easily reproducer to do that. But if they if you can't do anything, say, hey, you have to reproduce this with another month or something, they will lose the trust from us. So that's why the Kdump was designed to, when the panic happens, it's save the kernel, the memory contents, and at time of the kernel panic, and so once it has this file to save on somewhere, can use it to analyze it later. Just to there's some good chance of that we can find what's going on there and to fix it, hopefully. So the real Fedora Kdump solution includes the kernel. So it's so kernel, basically you have to need the kexec core system core support and the Kdump config enabled, and also to nowadays it's have the kernel relocation configuration enabled, so you can run the new kernel on the top of the old one. It's also include the kexec-tools, which is a user space. It have a kexec binary called the kexec system cores, and so you can load it, use it to load on the panic. So it's there's a two use for kexec. You can either load and kexec and panic, so or you can use just to run the new kernels, just immediately execution. And the Makedumpfile is very important because it can filter out the kernel, the memory image files to significantly reduce the memory size. For example, you have if the system have like a terabyte of memory, but in general, if you want to save it, you need the terabyte of the disk size as well. With the Makedumpfile, it's possible that you can filter out some unnecessary pages, like kernel page filled with 0 and the free pages and some of the user space pages and page cache as well. So for people to debug the kernel panic, you don't sometimes you don't need the some of the pages, so that will save the disk size significantly. They also include the Kdump initramfs generator, which is I think in the RHEV 5 in the past it's have like a customized scripts that you can just generate a different Kdump initramfs different from your first kernel, so you can just save some space in your initramfs without loading some unnecessary drivers and doing something different. So it's if you your Kdump initramfs don't need networking, you can just this script can just without use it. But your first kernel's initramfs always use lots of stuff that's like a load rootfs that's going to take a lot of memory. But nowadays in the RHEL 6 and RHEL 7 and the Fedora nowadays, it just depends on the dracut to do the device handling and to generate a initramfs. But there's some difference you can with the first kernels you can do that. Last one is a crash component. So it's crash components. It's once the kernel image memory image saved to the disk, you can use crash to actually with the kernel debug symbols you can analyze the vmcore, which is a memory image file, and that's so it can get on the some of the address of the kernel memories and the structures, kernel structures, state structures. So that's really cool to find out what's going on at the problem of kernel panic and to find out the root cause. The other one is so right now you have in order to use Kdump, it needs to reserve the memory at boot time. So basically you have to reboot your system. If you don't reboot the system to use a kernel crash command line, crash kernel command line on your grab, and to reserve the boot memory and to use a boot allocator to reserve the memory size. So it's right now the solution always require like 128 megabyte of memory, but there could be more, and depends on your what kind of device and the configuration you want to use in the Kdump environment. We'll talk about that more later. So this some pictures about how it works, how the whole workflow. So first, it gets in the first kernel that's to reserve the memory and to use the kexec-tools to register on the kexec on the panic. So it's also to save the kernel image on your reserved region, so that you can either, so it's possible to trigger it using the system crash and or the kernel panic handler, or you can use a keyboard to manually trigger it. Once it's the triggers, it's going to call kexec and boot in your dump capture kernel, which is a Kdump kernel that you load before, and it will export the file as proc vmcore, which contain the memory contents of your of the time of the happening, and so that file need to be copied somewhere. You can either do like manually or copy, or do is networking based like NFS, SDP, SAP, and So the Kdump solution just use the early user Kdump initramfs. It use dracut, and so use a Makedumpfile to save some to filter out some unnecessary pages and save that to the device of your choice. Then the crash will be used to analyze the vmcore just after you on your offline on your disk. So there's some complaint recently. This one from the Fedora kernel maintainer Dave Jones, and I think he left the Red Hat a while ago, but this was one in the November of the 2014, and so he actually trying to run his Trinity test suites on to this kind of like a stress or testing and like just a random error injection of the system calls. That he's a developer of these test suites, and he trying to run some of the tests on the system, and he actually met some like a kernel panic that he is trying to catch him, but this is like a classical use case of Kdump, because he sometimes trigger it, but it triggers once, and then the next time it's so difficult to trigger it again. So so he needs something that's something like a Kdump to be able to save the kernel vmcore that he can analyze it to and fix it hopefully. But it was never worked for him, and so so it's a Fedora is actually like it's not been tested properly for the Kdump, and it's just so many combinations that need to be addressed. And this one is from the kernel x64 architecture maintainer. HPA is from Intel, and there was a problem with some of the kernel patch to deal with like a memory block that's introduced some regression for reserve the kernel memory. So it's basically that you can reserve the memory either top down or bottom up. That's actually they're not able to allow you to reserve like a 128 meg of memory, even if you have enough memory at boot time. So he tried to understand what was the Fedora RHEL Kdump kind of the memory requirement needed to fix it. And he once he know that there's once he know that the way it was working at he's quite frustrated, because he think that the user don't have necessarily know how much memory they need to reserve at boot time, and it really depends on your environment. For example, if you have set up some different like DM read or multipass or something like that, it's load some like different drivers and load some different user space to deal with that device in your Kdump environment. It's normally require more memory. But if you have like a simple environment, like just a local disk, a SATA disk, or SSD, that's much easier. So you don't need that much memory. And the problem is the user don't know how much they are going to reserve. So if they reserve more, they just waste the precious memory. And until the Kdump trigger, if they reserve less, they will get like auto memory in your Kdump process that's going to kill your Makedumpfile, so you will lose the vmcore. So from the testing, we actually see this Kdump solution does a sufficient job for the enterprise customers, at least for RHEL, and we saw some bugs occasionally, but the customer use it fine most of the time. So, but so right now the Red Hat have more products like RHEV or RHEL Atomic, which is a layer product on top of RHEL, which actually have some some difference with the RHEL. And right now the Kdump approach it's kind of not very scalable. So if the different product want to use Kdump, they normally have some problems. That I think in the past we have something like the RHEL support like a bridge networking in your Kdump environment, but it has make some assumption on your bridge names and the device, the naming convention you are going to use, which is can be different in different environment. If they made some changes, I just sensitive to failures. So this one is this one I mentioned from David Jones. So it's like right now the kernel developers, if they want to use Kdump, so on their especially they probably never don't use on the server. They use on the workstation and desktop or laptop, which not like a server. We could test like 100 machines in the minor release and 1,000 machines on the major release. But for those kind of long server hardware, it's largely untested. So it could be the Kdump solution right now is very tied to the hardware. Depends on which driver you're using and firmware versions and your BIOS versions and some of the different combination of hardware that could be easily broken. So as a community in large, that's the so right now the different distribution like OpenSUSE, Ubuntu, and Debian, they use something different. They tied to their environment, and OpenSUSE use something tied to YAST. So it's right. The testing you're done, everyone just doing it separately, especially for a user space part. For kernel, it's much better. But I mentioned this solution need to be tested in the whole, so it's hard to test separately. So right now the Kdump initramfs generator depends on the dracut to do support lots of different networking and storage. So right now it supports something like a VLAN and a bounding and a teaming, and on the storage side it supports lots of stuff like a daemon read, MD read, hardware read, soft iSCSI, soft FCOE. So there's a lot of different drivers. So it's so many different cards. They have a different driver, and they also need the user space to deal with those kind of variations. So so it's hard to predict how much memory you need, and those drivers, for example, some of the Mellanox driver is not really designed for the embed or small footprint, and the Kdump is the only use case that's going to have that small memory size, and something like a dracut, they sometimes they can grow a lot of memory from release to release, and it could be hard to track because there's so many components, and sometimes you get like a Kdump environment to increase memory usage, and it could be lots of places like driver, and could be dracut, user space, could be this one is in order to support those of the different networking and storage, it needs lots of testing on the individual systems, especially hard on the there's a driver, there's a different combination of problems, so that that's going to be a heavy lifting. The last one is if there anything goes wrong with Kdump kernels, like a kernel module is hanging somewhere and the Kdump kernel could panic by itself. There could be running out of disk space when you capture a vmcore. It's not easy nowadays to see what's going on if doing something kernel panic on this laptop. So the kernel mode setting, the graphic driver, is going to sometimes it just mess up. You don't see anything on the screen. It's just a black screen, and you don't know what's going on there. And you can wait for like 5 minutes, and you just reboot, and you don't see anything. So you say just that you think that Kdump just broken, but it might be still in progress to capture the vmcore. It might be already broken, but it's hard to tell without see anything on the Kdump kernel environment. So right now it's always need a serious console to debug and find out what's which is difficult on the long server environment. So this Tinykdump was inspired by this flight recorder. In every a flight, you have this flight recorder to tell you when the flight has some problems. It will have some recording and some log and what's going on this in the pilot. So it's if you in the cockpit, if there's something wrong, you can use it to analyze to find out root cause if that's happened. So this Tinykdump think that could be used the standard USB stick that's plugging in any of the server or your laptop or desktop that they can have a small size at your like a coin. It's recommend have your a system memory size as your the USB disk size. So once the panic happens, it will save something on your USB stick. So so that's what's so there's also some general enhancement that so nowadays the to reserve the memory at runtime from because it's have a smaller footprint that could be as smaller as so AIM is like a 32 megabyte memory. So it can actually there's a mechanism in the kernel right now that should be able to reserve the memory at runtime. So it's so you don't need to reboot every time, and you have a flexibility to change your memory to either to release or you can. That's much convenient. And it was designed to use Kdump initramfs to get rid of the dracut dependency and just include the USB drivers, and that's include the USB 3 driver, and use the busybox, which is designed for the embed and this small footprint, and that can just doing the provide some of the utilities, and just use Makedumpfile if they combine dynamically. It needs social libraries. So this one, so there's a feature called pstore, which is a persistent dependency, platform dependency persistent storage for on your UEFIs. So so that's one. So this was to use to save the Kdump kernel and initramfs console output to this the pstore, so you can use it. So it's persistent after reboot, so it can inspect what's going on out there to see the logs. Last, it use Makedumpfile, just save the vmcore to your to the USB storage. So it's just new pictures. It's the same, only that it's in the last one, initramfs just going to use the busybox to save the use the Makedumpfile, figure out the vmcore kernel pages and save to USB storage. So it was understandable that because nowadays now you need to plug in the USB storage on your machines, and sometimes it could be have some risk that maybe it was being captured by someone you don't want to access, but if it contains your memory images, it could include something like a security key or your data in your Oracle database or something like that. But fortunately, there's already a feature in the Makedumpfile that you should be able to use a configuration file that you can say certain kernel structures you want to filter out those that can help to reduce some of the risk of the easy access of the USB device. So USB device was chosen as a general solution on both server and desktop. So every machine should have one, and especially for like USB 3, it's increased the some of the speed, so it's make the capture much quickly. But in reality is the Makedumpfile can reduce the size, so that's going to help in that wrong. The USB 3, they have a disk size at terabytes as well, so it's also increased capacities to save the vmcore. But so this file's kernel crash size was right now it was used to, you can use it to release the memory, so you can right now you can show how much memory you reserved, but you can't use it, but you can't use it to reserve the memory at runtime right now. Once the patch gets implemented, and this one will be used to, you can write a bigger value to this file, and it will try to reserve the memory as well. So because the pstore needs a UEFI support, so more systems produced recently have a UEFI enabled, so that shouldn't be the problem to use the pstore. Yeah, it was talk with those graphic developers, and the Kdump for them is really like very low priority. And so right now, it's the KSM kernel mode setting driver. It's not so for other like device like a SATA disk or some of the controller disk controllers, because the kexec when you reboot in the new kernel, it will do like a minimum shutdown, so it can shut down any like ongoing I/O accessing read and write. But for the KSM, there's no way to shut it down. So it's when the new kernel happening, the GPU can still be doing something out there. So it's just there's no way you can safely, reliably to make those together. So which means you can't. It's very difficult to see anything on the screen. It depends on the VGA to see the kernel and Kdump kernel and the initramfs console output out there. So it's just yeah. So but we use like a pstore to save something on your persistent store. It was designed to also like work together with the current Kdump solutions. There's so some customers, they are happy with their the Kdump. For example, they could test very well on their FCOE, save on iSCSI disk or something like that. So it's if this reliable work for them, they don't need to switch. There's always options, and it's also have some general like enhancement, like the reserved memory at the boot time and so on. That could be could be benefit both sides. So the Rick Van Riel, the kernel memory developer, he mentioned about this that right now there's actually the patch that can already has a possibility to reserve the 1 gig of memory of a huge page on the runtime. So they use this kernel infrastructure CMA, which is there's a function to if they reserve the memory early in the boot process, there's a big chance of big chance of the successful of the reserving. So it's we reserve much less than 1 gig of memory. So it should be easier. So next, this one need a patch to submit to the upstream to supporting the reserved Kdump memory at runtime. And right now the pstore they can only capture the kernel messages when your kernel panic or ops in your first kernel. That if you enable it, and it will save the kernel trace on the UEFI storage. And this one needs a patch also to support that logging of the Kdump kernel and the initramfs outputs to this UEFI storage as well. So you need a daemon, this Tinykdump actually to that can call the kexec user space to load the kexec and panic on your system when the daemon started, and have some like configure option that be able to write the Makedumpfile option, which page you want to figure out, and if you want to figure out some like a security key or something like that. So it's to implement in this Tinykdump daemons. So and once they stop, they need to do something like unload the kexec image from your system, so on. So once we have that implement in the Fedora, it can be extend the effort into OpenSUSE and different distribution. So hopefully they can have like a standalone solution on this. So they can have something in common ground. This upcoming, there's going to be Google Summer of Code. So this trying to looking for some of the help to doing some of implementation works. So with that, do you have any questions and comments? Yeah.
Is it possible to use geocrypt or looks for the USB stick?
James? Could you repeat?
Save the vmcore.
Yeah.
Encrypt with the USB.
Could you
Possible to encrypt?
encrypt? Yeah, I think that should be. Yeah, I think there's The question is if it's possible to encrypt the USB device or to capture the vmcore. So I think that's definitely the possibility. There's like different file system like encrypt-fs and so on. It's the only problem is you can't it can't be interactive, so it doesn't work if you need to input the password. So because it's Kdump, it's like automation. It's if you something running in the second kernel need to input the password, that's not good. But if you just talk about some of the general like data encrypt, that should be fine. Anyone else? Okay. And, yeah, thanks everyone. So the people who ask questions, feel free to grab a T-shirt.
Outstanding to be done. How can someone get involved to contribute to the effort?
Yeah, there's like communities. There's emails you can always talk to me. So there's only one. So only myself. And
okay.
So yeah, if you want to do something, it's email me.
Okay, I'll just email you.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Regarding the ingression question, do you mean encrypting while you are capturing the VM?
What? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking about that. What he said that he will be prompted about the password or whatever to encrypt. Or if we use the encrypted USB, then we will need to include more drivers like the encrypt or things like that.
Yeah.
So it was either one.
So I guess Kdump can do this already.
Well,
I
I'm
haven't
sure
checked on F21, but I think it's possible.
Okay.
As far as I know, with the standard Kdump, it's unencrypted. No, I didn't know there was support to encrypt. Well, with the standard setup.
I think it is. I haven't checked.
Is it in
haven't
RHEL?
tried.
Could I ask something?
Is such a feature in RHEL at the moment?
No. Well,
Didn't want to disturb. From the presentation, it's not clear where is it actually implemented already? For RHEL only, or because you were working for Fedora, right?
Yeah, I think
So the implementation currently available is only for Fedora, or is there for RHEL as well?
this Tinykdumps,
Yeah.
it's not available at all.
Oh, so this is work in progress.
Yeah,
still.
it's work in progress, and
Okay.
the kernel patch will submit to the kernel upstream.
Okay.
And this Tinykdump have
Right.
the daemon have to implement in the Fedora as well. In the Fedora first. There's like a standard process to implement something in Fedora and then go to RHEL.
And also for the coexistence that you had a slide there, that it coexists with the existing Kdump solution.
Yeah.
So the implementation, you're saying this is in the form of a daemon.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is it synchronized when the system actually hits the panic? Does the daemon step in first? Or how can you resolve the conflict of an existing Kdump configuration that doesn't step in, your Tinykdump steps in
yeah,
first?
I think there's some rough edges. I haven't really thought much about.
Because you have potential race there.
Yeah.
So which one is going to be the winner?
Yeah. I think it's probably like something you have to decide at first. Which one you're going to use?
Right.
Not something daemon. You can't start two daemon at the same time.
Yeah.
You have to choose which one to say. Start.
Right.
Give it like a
And
conflict.
long-term plan, is it to get it into RHEL?
Yeah.
Because this is something we could really use. I mean, in the support for kernel and RHEL.
Yes.
And there are
So why not?
situations where this would be extremely useful when you cannot obtain a valid dumps.
Yeah, why not? So it's the design for
Okay,
should be designed for those enterprise.
But you're not the one who will push for that, so that we need possible. Or who will make that decision?
So
To get that into RHEL?
yeah, it's still
I
undecided.
think it's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I think undecided probably if there's going to be accelerates, that's probably needs to talk with like a Linda, like kernel engineering, if something to make it quickly. But for me, it's like make it small, like start from someone.
It's a perfect solution. I mean, if you're in a situation where a customer cannot get a dump, you can tell if this is available. He can get his own USB stick, probably already in his drawer, stick it in, install, run, done.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what the idea.
Okay. All right. I'll make a note of your contact. I think I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
May I have one question? This would be rather a basic question.
Yeah.
I used to do kernel stuff 2 years ago, but I'm no longer doing it. I wanted to ask you to explain the relationship between those two kernels.
Yeah.
Which one hosts which services and which one?
Yeah.
Basically, what's the basic setup for running Tinykdump?
Basic stuff.
Basic setup, what's for example, why do you need busybox and what's the relationship between those two systems?
Yeah. So the Tinykdump is used to the busybox. So it's used to just generate the Kdump initramfs.
So it's totally for preparing this.
Yeah, it's just like a utility. So it's provide. So in the Kdump initramfs, there's because in the Kdump environment we don't mount the